Well, it is a Friday evening. How is everybody doing tonight? Thank you for joining and watching the channel, the stream, this very random, spontaneous idea that I have. And welcome, Rich, to the stream. Thank you very much for being here today, sir. How are
Happy
you
to be
doing?
here. I'm doing really well. I mean, not that anyone can see. I'm sitting here in a pair of shorts and no socks, and I'm very comfortable.
It sounds like me on every other random day without my socks on, annoying people that talk about my feet, and it just inspires me to put my feet on camera even more. So, thanks for that. Yeah, I wanted to go live, and I wanted to have a discussion with someone with experience and insights. So I do thank you very much for volunteering and being part of this.
Happy to.
I've been going down a road on preamps lately, and I want to get into that topic, but before we get into it, do I should roll through? Do you want to talk a little bit about the business, what you do? If anybody doesn't know who you are, you want to do an introduction, and I'll point
Yeah,
out any
sure.
assets here as we go along.
And then just tell me to shut up at some point because I can talk all day, as you know. So, yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Rich Zidel. I own a little boutique sales marketing firm called Zidel Marketing. And what I do is market and sell HIFi products or distribute across Canada. So I will represent manufacturers from anywhere. It might be in Canada, the United States, Europe, wherever. And I will become your Canadian home office and manage your business. I've been into music since I was incredibly young, since I was about 13, started setting up hi-fi systems, started working for hi-fi shops when I was 16. So we're talking about 45 years in the business. I manage, there you go, so you're seeing it now, quite a few hi-fi brands for Canada. And Joseph is scrolling them across the screen. So everything from, records, turntables, cartridges, tone arms, streamers, DACs, amplifiers, preamplifiers, which Joseph wanted to talk about, power conditioners, speakers, lots of speakers, all kinds of fun things, furniture. And the
Nice.
business obviously has been in turmoil because of tariffs.
Ah, yeah, something that
So
we probably should touch on a little bit, considering what people may out there may be thinking. Holiday season's coming up. Maybe they were eyeing something, but there's some uncertainties. What do we make of what's going on right now?
I'm not sure if I can say what I wanted to say, but we're not on network television, right?
No,
So
we're not.
yeah,
It is in
it's a
this.
shit show. It's an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
The problem is, well, you and I were talking for a couple of minutes before we came on here. The problem is uncertainty. Nobody likes uncertainty. So if I'm thinking about talking preamps, I'm thinking about buying a preamp or a new turntable or speakers or whatever. I want a budget. So I want to know, what do I want? So I go out and I do some listening and I do some research, and then I find out I want this thing and it's $1,000.
Hmm.
All right. So now I got to figure out a way to come up with $1,000.
Right.
The problem with this whole tariff thing is that it's $1,000, it's $1,300, it's $1,400, it's $1,100, it's $1,000 plus a surcharge. There are so many variables that it's freaking people out, and buyers don't like that. So when we're
Hmm.
faced with all of these things we don't understand, what do? We curl up into a ball and we don't buy. What does that do to the sellers? They don't get to sell. They don't sell anything because people are all freaked out. It's not good for anybody.
Hmm.
So what I'm seeing a little bit of now, what I've been recommending to the companies that I represent and work with is pick a number. If
Yeah.
the tariff is such and such, pick a number, adjust your price, and let people know this is what it is.
Right.
Might I have to change it again October 1st? yeah, maybe I will, but at least someone who's thinking or wanting or dreaming about buying has a target,
Hmm.
1,000, 1,200. And the beauty of this is it used to be it was $1,000 for a year, and then the tariff thing happened, and now it's 1,300. Well, nothing would make me happier than on October 1st to say, guess what? It's going back down to 1,000 from 1,300. That would make me really happy. But at the very least, if I say it has to be 1,300 right now, then at least someone who's been dreaming or thinking or whatevering and wants to buy it, they've got a number.
Right.
Am I willing to pay 13? Do I want to wait? I don't know. 2, 3, 6 months, 3.5 years until it goes back down, if it ever goes back down.
Right.
But at least they can make an informed decision.
Right.
That's all I want for people is you've got a number in front of you, you got an idea of what's going on. This is supposed to be fun. This is music.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
when I was a kid, I sat in front of my AM clock radio with a cassette deck when they played the top 100, and I was, click recording that, and then I had my music, and then when I could actually afford to buy stuff, I would buy stuff. But like this is supposed to be fun. You get a sound system, you enjoy music. Hopefully, you share it with your friends, which is something I encourage everybody to do. And it hasn't been fun. It's just been a nightmare lately. So I'm really hoping it's time for us to get back to fun.
Like getting back to these
That was fun.
back in the day where they couldn't cut you off from your music. You just put a tape in and then could play it, and it was wireless because it was battery powered, and you could just bring it out to the park. And this is what we enjoyed. I got an
And I
inspiration
still
from
do.
that idea there.
You know, I have portable stuff. I've got Bluetooth speakers. I've got outdoor speakers. I've got all kinds of things. And that's something I talk about with people a lot. And it makes me laugh because they think, oh, you're going to tell me this is no good and this is garbage and this doesn't sound good enough. So, well, if you want me to,
Hmm.
I will. But typically, I won't do that. You own something, so you listen to music. Number one, that's fantastic. Number
Yeah.
two, do you like it? Great, then enjoy it. Now,
Yes.
if you are looking for advice and you want me to tell you what, I think might be better or different, this will give you an improvement, this will just give you a sidestep, then we can do that as well. But, I often tell people just because it's not one of my products doesn't mean it's bad. Much
Right.
as I would love that, there's lots of good stuff out there, and a lot of it sounds great. And I go to shows, and I walk into people's rooms, and they think I'm going to go, "Blah, blah, blah," and I just pat them on the back. Hey, sounds
So
really
yeah,
good.
sounds
You
good.
know,
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, for all the shows that we go to and the difficulties with setting up a room like that, much like a lot of people at home have to finagle whatever it is, put it in this place, make it work with this furniture, that furniture, like it sounds as best as it can sound. So yeah, I mean, it is the fun that we forget too often that we're supposed to be having rather than a competition to make it sound like whatever. And yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it's something I
I
try
want
to
to.
remind people about as well. Just
I
enjoy
do that
whatever it is.
all the time. Enjoy it. Listen to music. Have fun.
Mm,
Share it. If you want to learn something, if you want my advice, I'm happy to give it. But man, there's a lot of good stuff out there.
yeah,
You got to bite the bullet, get something, and start listening to music.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a first question here. True Voice of Reason's coming in and asks about the Leak products. What do you think of them all? I like their vibe, but have to wait until local stereo shops open a new showroom. So, suppose for that listening demo, that all important in person listening demo, that's becoming more rare. Yeah. So the question is, what your impressions on the products are?
So Leak blew me away when I got to audition it years ago. So I'm trying to remember when it came back on the scene, 5 or 6 years, let's say. And there were only two products, the Stereo 130 little integrated amp and the CDT, which is their transport. That's it. So they sent me these two things, and I connect the leak, and it's not big and it's not expensive, incredibly affordable. There's and that's the 230. So that's the bigger one.
Hmm.
And they are unbelievably musical. And it's funny that you put the 230 up because I'll tell you a little Xpona story, not this year, but previous year. I was playing gear in a room and we had a couple of different amplifiers and we were playing this, let's say $12,000-ish tube amp, and people were blown away. Oh my gosh, this sounds so amazing. And and then what happens if you put the leak on? And we put this leak on that's only a couple of $1,000. It was almost as good. And people in the room were asking for the price, and we were giving it to them, and they didn't believe that that was the actual number. And that is the fun thing. I always used to tell people when I ran a shop, if you want me to, I'll spend every penny you have and will ever earn in your entire existence on this planet. If you want me to,
Right.
because I can sell you a pair of $300 speakers or $400,000 speakers and everything in between. Same thing with an amplifier. The cool thing about Leak is that here is something, okay, it's not $500, it's a couple of thousand, but for that money, it punches way above its weight.
Nice.
Incredibly, incredibly musical. There's the two different finishes there. So there's the sort of, the heritage vintage look with the walnut cabinet, which
Yeah.
I love. And then there's just the silver and black, which hopefully I won't get sued for copyright, but we lovingly referred to that as either the Madman or the John Hamm machine.
Okay.
It just has that look, like that would have been in his office.
Yeah. It's very
Um,
very minimal industrial, but even like there's something retro in the shape and like orientation of the buttons. For
they
me,
did
that's what.
a cool thing, yeah. So it's you're exactly right. It's vintagey looking and yet with a bit of a modern flair to it.
Yeah.
It's right in the middle, which I think is a lot of fun. So to answer True Voice of Reason, quite the name. To answer the question, yeah, I'm blown away. I think this stuff sounds amazing. I think for the money, it's incredible. All you want to do is make sure that you pair it properly. So it's going to do different things with different equipment. So the speaker that you pair it to, if you want to get a particular type of British sound, which is a little more on the texture, the warmth, and the mid range, you'd pick one type of speaker. If you are more into hyper detail, you can pick a different speaker. And the beauty of that amplifier is it'll change. It'll do what it needs to do working with different equipment, and you can get different stuff out of it. And sometimes you can use it to fix a problem, which is something that a lot of people don't know. If you have an amplifier that tends to be just a weence textured or warm,
Hmm.
if you have, let's say, a speaker that happens to be just a weence or more than a weence bright, then if you take the right amplifier, you can balance things out and end up with something that really pleases you.
Right. That actually bleeds into a little bit of the question that I had, and the journey that I've been on in terms of preamps. My journey
Fun
down
topic.
preamp lane, I got a lot of feedback earlier, and this is Google's AI description of what preamps do, and then all of the selection of different things here, which we don't have to get into.
So
But
the interesting thing is there's what preamps do in general,
mhm.
and then there's what they actually do,
Oh, okay.
which are two
Hold
very
on.
different things. And like if you're in this hobby, which let's face it, you got to be a little cuckoo if you're an audiophile, right? We're all a little, nuts because we're always searching to get closer and closer to that original recording or that original sound. So there's the basics. What does a preamp do? Well, what a preamp does is it steps up or amplifies
Mhm.
a line level signal for your power amp. That's what it does. Now, as in all of audio, the arguments will begin. So do all preamps sound the same?
Right.
Do all preamps actually do the same thing? No and no. And there's lots and lots of reasons for that. The first one, which most people don't understand, and I don't like to talk tech. I've got the background in the education. I can do it.
Mhm.
Someone wants to talk bits and bytes and numbers, I'll do it. At the end of the day, I'm always telling people that's not what we're listening to.
Right. Right.
We're listening to music. So I can talk about the bits and the bytes. I can talk about all the technical stuff, which is nice to understand a product, but it doesn't tell you what it sounds like. You have
Yeah.
to listen. You have
Yeah.
to listen to it. So to go to a preamp, there's one thing that most people don't understand, which is it's an amplifier. Okay, it's a pre-amplifier, right? So
Yes.
it amplifies the signal before it goes into the amplifier. So we'll explain that because that's a pretty easy one. You have your source component, your turntable, CD player, streamer, what have you. That's got an output signal. And like many things, of course, it's sort of standardized, but not really.
Okay.
So theoretically, source components have an output voltage of about 2 volts, or you'll hear 2000 millivolts. And then you're going to hear some audiophile purist guys, and they will tell you that's all you need.
Mhm.
So you get a passive preamp, which is another word for a volume control, right? A
Yeah.
passive preamp is connections with a volume control. That's it.
Yeah.
And they will say that's the cleanest, most purest way. You've got your signal. Now you have a volume adjustable. You go into your amp. That's the best thing in the world. No, it's not. Now, there is a chance that it might be if you happen to have two perfectly matched components, et cetera, then that might work.
Right.
But typically, without going into crazy detail, the preamp needs to amplify that line level source component to a higher level than what it's putting out. Meaning, if I have that passive volume, or if I have a device that's got volume, I sell HIFi Rose, let's use that. So you can take some streamers and use them as a preamp, and it'll work. And it'll sound very nice. But what most people don't realize is put a preamp in there, and chances are it's going to sound significantly better. And now I will tell you why. Because your amplifier needs a certain voltage to be driven to its real capacity in order to power the speakers to where they want to be. If you are not putting enough voltage into the amplifier, and let's take voltage away, we'll just call it signal. So if you're not putting enough signal into it, you can turn that volume up. You're not getting the oomph. The
Right.
volume, you might manage to get to the volume level you want, but the oomph, the richness, the texture, the depth of imaging and field, all of that might not be there. And that's because that amplifier needs more signal
Okay.
to be driven effectively. The complete opposite of that, and this I'll explain it simply, the opposite of that is overloading something and distorting.
Right.
If you put too much signal in, you overload the right, and it all falls apart. You can't understand what's happening. It's distortion. Pretty simple. The opposite of that, the opposite of distortion, is amplifying more noise than music. So if that signal, if that
Mm.
voltage wasn't enough, then you're amplifying more noise
Noise.
and less music. So from a sheer output performance, letting that amplifier provide the output wattage and current that it needs to do what it wants to do, you may need to up your signal. And that's what a preamp does. Now, like most audio, things have what we call a voice. And for anyone who doesn't know, well, I have a voice. You have a voice. It's what I sound like. Well, equipment also has a voice.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes things are warm. You might hear, tubey, warm, textured. You might hear bright. You might hear thin. You might hear veiled. All of this is voicing. And much as we arrogant, obnoxious, loudmouth audiophiles would love to say this is right and that is wrong, there's no such thing as right and wrong. If it's functioning, I mean, if it's distorting, and obviously that's wrong, right? But if it's working, then there's what you like and what you don't like.
Right.
And that's where in the audio world, I laugh all of the time when people tell, what's a good match, what's a good this, what do you think is it? And every single time I say the same thing. That's your opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
9 out of 10 audiophile friends might all agree with you. That doesn't change the fact that it's still your opinion. Is this actually bright, or does this have detail? Is this veiled, or does it have unbelievable texture? The words are difficult to use because they don't necessarily mean anything. But the preamp will change the sound, and that's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Just like a speaker might give you a particular type of sound, an amplifier, a source component, a phono cartridge, so can a preamp. So you can drive your amplifier properly, and that's the goal here, but you can also voice your system. And that's where if someone comes to me and they say, yeah, I don't like my system, I want to change it. What do you think I should get? I don't think you should get anything because I don't know what you like and what you don't like. Let's start there. Tell me, what do you like? What do you not like? If you give me that basic information, then I might be able to say something like, okay, so you think you like your speakers, but they make your ears bleed. That's called bright. Or I met a guy the other day. My system is so amazing, so revealing that I can never sit down and listen for more than 20 minutes. And I said, and you think that's good?
Right.
Like I go to a concert, I don't leave after 20 minutes. Right?
Right. Yeah,
I like to listen to the whole
show.
concert.
Yeah.
When I sit down and to play an album, I really like to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's good. I think that's a problem. So that's where I can say, what have you got? Okay. And I'm not going to use brand names. Those particular speakers have a reputation for being a little analytical, a little bright, whatever, a little thin, whatever you want to call it. What do we do? Well, if I throw a softer preamp in there, that'll tone everything down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I might say to someone, what have you got? Oh, yes, you've got that CD player or that streamer. A little bright. What speakers have you got? A little bright. Okay.
Right.
What amplifier? Oh, a lovely amplifier, very revealing. So you've got a little bright, really revealing, and a little bright. Okay. So now we decide what do we want to do, and you got different options, right? The speaker is the final voice of your system. So that's where a lot of people just think, spend all your money on your speakers, get a new speaker. That might fix it. A lot of us in the industry try to talk about garbage in, garbage out, or your system is only as good as your source. You can have the best speaker in the world, and if you have the worst turntable or streamer in the world, all that best speaker in the world is going to do is go, here's the worst source in the world. This is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It's not going to sound great. Whereas if you then got a better source, oh my goodness, why does this system sound so much better? Because we've now sort of balanced things out more efficiently. What we can do with that preamp is we can do a lot of tailoring. So one of the things that I used to do for people in the early days of digital, they would say, I've got my turntable, I've got my CD player, and yeah, I find it a little bright sometimes, a little thin or a little harsh, whatever word you want to use, doesn't matter. And I would say, you know what we can do is we can change your preamp for something softer.
Mm-hmm.
And that will smoothen out or better balance your system.
Mm-hmm.
Great option. Your amplifier, typically, much bigger, heavier, and more expensive. So,
Yeah.
sure, we could change that, but I'm trying to find a less painful way. Same thing with your speaker. You know, before I go and I say, you have to get rid of this $10,000, 200-pound behemoth, well, maybe you don't. Maybe we can look somewhere else. So the nice thing about a preamp is it can do a lot of things for us. It can better drive our amplifier. It can retune our system. It can give me more inputs. Maybe I need that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Right.
It can also screw things up if you do it the wrong way. You know, there's some preamps, they have so much gain. You know, a guy called me up and he said, I don't understand this. I can't play anything above 9 o'clock.
Right.
And I said, there are two ways to look at it. First of all, do you want to?
Right. Is that an issue?
Because if it's not an issue, then who cares?
Right.
Number two, wherever you are playing it, how does it sound?
Right.
Oh, it sounds great. Okay, well, then you're creating a problem that doesn't exist. Now, if you tell me when I try to turn it up a little beyond that, it starts to distort, well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's because your preamp is putting out too much signal for that particular amplifier. So then that would be a problem. The reverse might be, you know, I was talking about passive preamps where I go in and someone says, I have all this equipment. This is supposed to be the greatest streamer and DAC in the world. This is supposed to be an amazing amplifier. These are supposed to be amazing speakers. Listen to it. It's lackluster. It's lifeless. I listen to it. Yeah, you're right. Because your source is not pumping enough signal into that amplifier. And that's where you need a preamp.
That balance, the or what they call synergy in a system, you have to pick this, you know, like I think of it like a recipe for food or cookies, right? And everybody knows cookies, and cookies are supposed to taste delicious, but everybody likes different kinds. So if you have ingredients to make cookies, you can put in too much baking powder, you can put in too much flour, and then it doesn't congeal right. Like there's a balance to be had in order to get where you want to be. Now you can make them with just minor adjustments. It still comes out close to the same. But with some of the stuff we're talking about with audio, I find that the description in a subjective way, bright, warm, bassy, detailed, you can kind of pick and choose based on character. But then without getting into technicals, I think some of the technicals also explain why I say this has this component, this is that component. And they each kind of have a character, or so they say there's a character. So that's kind of what I've come to, is trying to identify either reputation, because I haven't heard everything in the world, or descriptions of characteristics, so I can pick and choose based on a final thing that I like personally. How can I best get to where I want to be? Like I have my milk, which is my room. I need cookies for my milk now. So I want to mix and match, or I want to balance everything out without avoiding like, oh, this is, you know, like too much this or too little that. And so that's why my preamp journey just started. I'm pretty good with speakers. I can identify a lot of stuff acoustically, just looking at it. I've researched that. But preamps, I kind of glossed over, not thinking it was any more than a volume control. But it really isn't.
It is so much more than a volume
Right.
control. It really, I mean, look, everything's going to voice your system, but your preamp can make a massive difference because it's not just voicing. It's, for lack of a better term, it's pre-amplifying.
Right.
Right? So, right? You've got your source. It's playing the signal. You drop the tone arm, the stylus hits the groove, or you press play, whatever it is, and that thing is putting out signal. That signal is now going to your preamp. Your amplifier is going to power the speaker. How well your amplifier powers that speaker, how well it drives it, does it get the subtle dynamics, or do those get glossed over? That depends on the preamp. Is that preamp pushing enough signal so
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not just amplifying noise?
Mm-hmm.
I'm now amplifying those finite details that you didn't hear before instead of noise.
Right.
And that's where it gets really cool. So if you've got a little bit of harmonics or you've got some delay or just, voicing, I'm always telling people, one preamp might sound a little bit nasal, then you're going to go to something else that's quite different. That's voicing.
Yes.
And it's not right and wrong. I don't like this. I think that's wrong. But if someone thinks that's the greatest sound in the world, like,
Right. Yeah. There's a, yeah,
go play your records, man. Enjoy
you,
yourself. I'm happy that you are happy. But if you are willing to learn, investigate, listen, test, talk, it's unbelievable what preamps will do.
right. I'm just learning that. I've had receivers and like integrated amps, things like I started in the 90s with a Sherwood amplifier or receiver. Sherwood, I got at a store somewhere and powered my first couple of systems with that. And then I moved into like a home theater in a box. So I had receivers that had everything built in, amplifier, all that kind of stuff. And I moved from there. It wasn't only until a couple of years ago, I got my first dedicated pre and power amp separate to go into that kind of world. And I've heard about it. Separates is this, separates allows you to do that. And I wanted to experience that. So that was my first go around. I'm like, okay, I need to do a little bit more of a deep dive. What is it on the bottom end? What is it at the top end? Go around to shows and try to learn more. And now deep dive on online learning about stuff. So I have a $400 preamp that I bought from Amazon. That's a topping preamp, and I wanted to compare it against the Rotel that I had because I noticed there was something about the Rotel that I was like curious about. I'm like, is this normal? And I went around and kind of researched. I'm like, okay, it seems kind of atypical. Like some have this character and some don't. So I'm like, okay, let's get something really easy to get for anybody. I can recommend it. I can showcase. It's pretty cheap. And I hooked it up and immediately I was like, wow, there's like this one particular character was gone, but then something else was missing. So I'm like, oh, this is interesting that I can pay so little and it works and functions. I got 2 subs and 2 monoblock amps and it accommodated all of that, but it was missing the dynamics. I found like the attack and expression of the music was collapsed. So I was like, okay, let's see what else I can go. Let's go another level up. And I borrowed a preamp, and that one sounds amazing. It's the best of both of the 2 other ones. Has less of this negative character and more of the positive character. And now it's like brought an incredible amount of life back to the music, more detailing, more separation, more subtleties and everything. And I'm like, does it get better than this? And even one of my videos, I reviewed something and I was shaking my head on the second take of it. Like, I can't believe is there something that actually gets better than what I'm hearing now? Because it was so impressive to just change the preamp. Everything else was the same. Same source, same
Yep.
cables, same speakers, same positions. Nothing else changed. Just put the preamp in the chain. And I was like, this is amazing to experience, not just watch it online, not hear about people talking about it, but get it in and actually put it to work. And it just blew my mind. And then
So that's cool.
there's still some negatives. I'm like, what's going on with this? You know what I mean? So it's like this rabbit hole is
But
still
so I mean
there.
that's our hobby, right? That
Yeah.
that is the audiophile hobby. Is so many people, are on a quest, right? Um, it's a never-ending quest or mission. Um, they're looking for nirvana. I'm seeking Monty Python's Holy Grail. I'm looking for the absolute best, perfect. Well, it doesn't exist.
Mm.
It might exist for the moment. You know, as human beings, what happens is you'll find something, you're thrilled with it, and then once you get accustomed to it, the excitement sometimes is gone,
Yeah.
and then you're looking for a new, different thing, which might not be better, it's just different. Or you might be the type of person who has found your sound, and that's it. You can just live with it forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tend to be not your typical audiophile where I'm tweaking and comparing and guessing and searching for the next greatest thing. I mean, I do this for a living, so I test stuff every single day. But for my own gear, I will try to do what I tell people to do. When people call me for advice or write to me, and by the way, uh, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, email, whatever, you can ask me anything anytime, and it doesn't have to be about my own brands. I'm happy to talk about that with people. But I'm always saying, just listen, find something you like, but do yourself a favor and set a timeline and a budget. So the budget I told you, if you don't set a
Hmm.
budget, you can spend every penny you'll ever earn. So a budget's going to be important. Now, most people, I will say, make that budget flexible because the
Hmm.
store knows you're flexible. You go in and you say, I have $1,000. They know you have 1,100. So you have to decide for yourself where-ish is my
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah.
Um, and then you want to set a timeline because if you're looking for the best system on the planet, you will look until you're dead. So the
Yeah.
key is to look, listen, listen, find something you love. And then that's where I tell people, now do yourself a favor, buy it, set it up, and stop shopping. Start listening to music.
Right.
Because theoretically, anyway, that's why you were doing this in the first place.
Forget the journey of learning and getting and acquiring and
Yeah,
Christmas morning opening boxes and all
and
that chase.
sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just sometimes I talk to audiophiles and it's like, so for the last 3 months, you've been comparing, analyze, doing it. Did you enjoy any music during the process? No. And of course, the answer is always no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, so what are you
What is
doing this for?
yeah.
The end game is supposed to be to enjoy music. So that preamp experiment, you can have a ton of fun with it. And they will. They will do
Definitely.
lots of different things. And I'm thrilled in your description of what happened because that's a huge part of it. And people often don't understand dynamics, don't understand the inner workings of an audio system. And we have music, which I signal, and we have noise.
Hmm.
That's it. The problem is that noise can cancel out some signal,
Right.
which is music. So you might not be hearing things that you should be because your equipment, in this case, maybe it's your preamp or what have you, can't effectively drive your amplifier.
Hmm.
So those subtle details, they're just glossed over.
Right. Yeah.
And
That's
then you match something up that makes more sense, and there was a snap to that bass, and oh my goodness, I didn't know there were harmonics. He plucked that string, and then I heard four different notes go on for 30 seconds.
yeah.
I didn't hear that before because we were amplifying noise, not signal, and all of that was masked and it
Yeah.
disappeared.
Yeah.
And you're getting to something better and something that has much better control, and that's hi-fi. Now we're going to bring out more music.
Right. I was just gonna pair that phrase, the idea of high fidelity, and fidelity is the key word there. Is fidelity is as accurate as possible, minus the noise, minus the differences, minus any of the distortions, and dialing that in with one element or another, say where you put your speakers in a room, how well everything pairs together, if it synergizes properly to your taste. That can bring out a lot of different things. I didn't really think cables would make a whole lot of a difference in my world, and I doubted them for a long time. Listened to a bunch of different ones and didn't really hear any difference. added some new ones just recently and kind of humbled myself. And like, I'm going to need to start speaking a little bit differently now because some of them have actually made a difference. And I didn't really, I mean, I get the principles of like resistance, capacitance. I know electrical engineering to a degree. So I'm like, okay, yeah, copper's copper, but geometries are different and dielectrics are different. And I talk about EMF stuff with people who start to get into it. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
but it made a difference. It,
it's really simple to explain. I always do the same thing in audio because most people don't understand the technicals of audio.
right. And it's
You know,
deep. It
right?
can be deep.
It's very deep. They know they like music, but they don't understand the technicals. So wherever possible, I'm going to try to let's not talk about bits, bytes, and technical jargon. Let's keep it simple. So a cable, which by the way, you know, if you want to start a fight, ask a few audiophiles to talk about cables,
Well,
right?
we can handle the questions afterwards
And
if
well,
we
you
can.
know,
I'm
luckily
good.
I'm a realistic guy. So do they make a difference? Yes. Not always.
Yes.
In many cases, yes. In other cases, no. But can they, should they, blah, blah, blah? Yes. And here's why. Because a cable, a wire, can be one or two things: a filter and or an antenna.
Mm-hmm.
I no, actually, and a third thing, it's a signal path.
Yeah.
So it's a means to an end, right? So what a cable does is it carries the signal from this device to the next device. In doing so, it becomes a filter.
Mm-hmm.
And people, well, I don't understand. Again, leave audio.
Yeah.
Go get a garden hose, all right, or straw. Um, if you have a really long hose, you lose flow over the huge length of the run. It's harder for that amount of water to go through at the same pressure, at the same volume, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera, et cetera. And what it does is it basically, that hose, it filters down your water output.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got a really short straw, you can blow really, really hard. If you've got a straw that's 15 feet long, it's going to be a lot harder to do that.
Right.
You're going to lose a little bit. So you lose a little bit of signal, and in an electrical signal, it's typically lost to heat. If you touch a particular electrical wire in your house, if you're doing something, it'll get warm, right? And that's just some of that signal is coming out as heat. So your wire carries the signal. It might filter the signal a little bit, and it might also act as an antenna. You mentioned
EMF stuff.
EMF, right? So we might get some radio frequency interference or magnetic or what have you. That's what cables do. But if it's a filter, if you understand what the word filter means, it means remove something,
Mm-hmm.
take something away. Therefore, that cable, in almost every single case, is taking something away. The best cable in the world is taking the least amount possible
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
So just like I was saying, maybe we'll pick a preamp to revoice the system a little bit. If you really know the system and if you really know cables, sometimes you can do that. You know, we'll put a different cable on this thing and it might
Mm-hmm.
just soften it up a little bit. Or here's a funny one, which people don't realize, just put a longer cable on it.
Mm-hmm.
Same brand, same
Yep.
model, interconnect speaker. A 1 meter thing is going to sound different than a 3 meter thing.
Oh yeah.
And so in some cases, maybe we do that. And again, no right and wrong, but that's, you know, the cable might do that for
Yeah.
you. Your preamp might do that for you. The key is to be listening and figure out what you like. And where I was going with all of this is, once again, is there's technically no right and wrong. There's what you like. Now, in the perfect purist world, there might be a right and wrong. Here's a quick anecdote is I was at a dealer, really nice guy. I've known him for quite a long time. And I was there with one of my speakers. And he proceeded to tell me how the other speaker company that he preferred, it wasn't just that he preferred it, it was right and mine was wrong.
Oh.
And I looked at him and I asked one simple question, which was, were you in the recording studio? Because if you weren't, then you have no idea whether this is accurate or not. You
Yeah.
weren't there. And the funny thing was, it just so happened I was playing a speaker that the song that I was using was recorded in their studio. So I said, this was recorded in their studio on their equipment, monitored with this speaker. And you're telling me this is wrong and yours is right. And here's what I'm going to tell you. In this particular case, I think this one's right. Now, whether it's good and whether you like it or not, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, the artist said, hey, I went into the studio, I recorded my thing, we mastered it and mixed it on this speaker. We then played it to me and I went, yeah, that sounds like exactly what I had.
Yeah.
So the artist says this is right. That doesn't mean it's good. Doesn't mean you like it.
Yeah.
And that's the weird thing about this
The
great
hobby
of ours.
is sensory input and opinion, subjectivity versus objectivity, and they get intermixed and mangled in conversations so many different times. And yeah, I love knowing the physics of it. And my favorite phrase is always like, physics doesn't care what you think or feel. Physics is just the nature of reality. Whether you understand it or not, it's a totally different topic. But physics is just, that's the right in the conversation. It can be technically right,
Absolutely.
the math. But
and it's very interesting that
how
you say
we
that.
feel
That's,
is, you know.
yeah, that's another thing I will often say to people, because, you know, I'm on all the forums, I read what everyone's doing, and I just laugh when I see people, right? Okay, so I've had my system and my gear for whatever amount of time, and I want to change, I want to invest more money. What's a good speaker? And then they'll tell you, I like the Eagles and Joe Cocker. Okay. You want to tell me what your birth sign is?
Yeah, it's like,
This is irrelevant. And you don't seem to understand why. Let me explain why. The speaker that you want to change has no idea what music it's playing. The speaker moves air. That's what it does.
Yeah.
It moves air, which is converted into a signal that our ears then interpret as sound. It doesn't know if it's playing classical or jazz or heavy metal or anything else. And you might say this is good for such and such. What's that based on? I'll tell you what, it's based on your opinion. So I've got one person, oh, this is a good speaker for jazz, but not for rock.
Right.
Why? Oh, well, it doesn't put out enough bass. You mean it doesn't put out enough bass for you?
For you, yeah.
Right? But this other person might think it's fantastic.
That subjectivity part. It's fascinating to listen to, and I don't like to interject too much and like stop someone short, because I'm sure that I don't want to get into it any more than I need to. I'll just say, well, what's your scale? It's better, worse, it's good, bad. That's a scale. It's a statement of scale. So where's your reference? Like, you know, say that this is wrong. So, okay, where's your reference in your previous example was the studio recording, the artist. That's the reference. And if the person doesn't have a reference, then their statement is nonsensical.
So great statement, because that's another thing I say to people all the time when they're talking about all of this. Said, have you attended a concert? Have you heard live music? Do you know what it's supposed to sound like? And if you don't, I highly encourage you to go listen to anything.
Right.
Okay. There's all kinds of free music out on the streets, or you can pay and go to a concert. You decide how you want to do it, but go experience some actual live music. It'll help you understand what things are supposed to sound like, because what you heard in the club last night, well, that's not how it's supposed to sound.
Mm-hmm.
That's club sound. And again,
Right.
there's nothing wrong with that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
not every single song is supposed to have that.
Yeah.
Right. So I always say, go listen to some music so you can get an understanding of what it is. And then when I tell people, when they say, how do you buy a sound system? We have to decide what's important to you. And I'll boil it down really simply to two things. You can either strive to get as close as possible to that original recording,
Mm.
or you can try to get to what you like. And both of those are fine.
Right.
I just
Right.
tell people you need to make that decision, because if you want to come to me as a professional with decades and decades of experience, then I can say this is more natural than that, in my
Mm.
opinion. I think do this, or I think do that. Uh, but if you want the club, well, lead with that. Just
Right.
come in and tell me, I want it to sound like that. Well, then, okay, then let's
There's,
find you
yeah.
something that does that.
Yeah.
But again, one of the beautiful things of our hobby is, despite so many people thinking that there is right and wrong, there isn't.
Mm.
Yeah, there's the original, and a lot of us are striving to get to the original, but really there's just what makes you happy.
Yeah. Ultimately, something that you can enjoy and appreciate and get on that level. I sit down, even today, I put on the system and I felt so overwhelmed earlier today and things going on that I just, simple life stuff out of control, situational, and got home and just put the system on and put on a new playlist. Let's discovery playlist I do almost every week. Just let's see what the algorithms are picking for me this week. And I just put it on, and a couple of new things came on and some artists that I hadn't heard from a while. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is the therapy that I need more frequently. It's the thing that makes me happy, the place that I've gotten to, the things that I've acquired, the lessons that I've learned from getting to this point. And a video I made a number of weeks ago said, like, I may have three of the best speakers at a price point in multiple categories right now. What am I looking for more? Why am I looking for more right now? These are the three acclaimed top of the line selections, and I have them. So what is it about me? The system's fine. There's something about me that needs some work. I need to enjoy it. And I forget that sometimes. I get so caught up with a lot of other things, the ins and outs of just life itself. And I'm like, yeah, be grateful, and remind myself all the time, just be grateful. Forget like whatever this race is, the what ifs, and it reset everything today when I sat down and put it on. I'm like, this is what I was missing. I can't have it all the time, but it's
It's a
so nice to
wonderful
enjoy it.
thing. There's so many studies that have been done. Music soothes the savage soul. It's calms people down, helps cows produce more and better milk. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
there's all kinds of studies that go on. It's a language. It's a communication that you can have a shared moment with someone that you don't know, whose language you don't even speak, but you're both grooving to a song and you just catch each other.
Mhm.
You might be at a concert, you just catch each other, both groove, and you'll just smile like,
Yeah.
I'm into this and so are you, and you're my kind of guy.
Yeah.
We like the same stuff. And that's really, really a neat thing. Too many people forget that it's supposed to be enjoyment.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, okay, it happens to be my job. It happens to be
Yeah.
my business, but I will evaluate, I will test, I will do all that professional stuff. I will also sit down and listen for one reason, and that's my own personal enjoyment, and that's it.
Hmm.
And that's what I encourage people to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Find that system, buy that system, find that piece of gear, whatever it is. You want some help, man, I'd love to help. Whatever it is, but please make a decision, get it, and start enjoying the music. That's the whole point.
Yeah, yeah, it really is, and
And
needs to be a forefront message going forward, even for me. And the more I say it to anybody else, it's like I'm saying it, and I'm supposed to be saying it to myself. Like, remember that this is what it's about. I played, instruments growing up as a musician as well, so it's like it's an integral part of the whole scope of life for me. And this journey and learning and sharing is about getting someone else to their joy spot, their place of, zen, or their musical, whatever it is, to find that, to figure out, maybe explain what this does and that does and where this is and how to get that and how this synergizes. And the whole reason I'm doing the channel and sharing is for that reason, so someone can enjoy the music without, you know, doing all of the stuff that goes along with the hobby.
that's what it's supposed to be. You know, I've got a few different quotes on my website. One of my favorite ones is, Dick Clark, where he says, music is the sound, well, said, he's passed away,
Mm.
music is the soundtrack of your life. And the amazing thing is you can be in your car, you can be in a shopping center, wherever, a song will come on and you are transported back in time, back to place, to somewhere, and hopefully it's going to be a good memory. Some of them might be bad, but it happens to me all the time. Song came on the other day, was the Alan Parsons Project, and I stopped dead in my tracks
Mm.
because in my head I was now 16 years old, taking care of the Hartrue tennis courts at the Cote d'Ivoire Racket Club. At 5:30 in the morning is when I would start my shift, and the earbuds would go in, press play, the music went on, and I went off and did my thing. And that song came on, and I was there,
Yeah. Like
just like that.
transported. Yeah.
Boom. Uh, it's so cool. It can be so much fun, and you can have so much fun sharing. Yeah, I sit down and listen with myself, by myself rather. But one of my favorite things to do, if you were in my city, you could come over
Right.
and we
I
could do
wish.
it
I
one of
wish.
these days, is I will invite some friends over and say, your challenge is to play something really good for me that I've never heard.
I love that. I love being
Turn me
able to do
on
that.
to something,
Yeah.
help me discover something. And I don't mind if it's a band that I know. I don't mind if it's a cover of a song. In fact, that's one of my favorite things. Just play something for me that I haven't played or that I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we had Anders stop in from Hagel Music Systems. So thank you for joining us today, and hello wherever you may be. I know that there's multiple shows going on around the world, so hopefully you sleep well in your travels. We did put up the H150 online on the screen earlier because I know that's a new unit, but Anders is that kind of person at shows for me, and why I really gravitated towards Hagel. Two things. One, there's some kind of magic that they put into their system, the sound engine design, the way that they've manifested magic in their systems. I love what they do because I'm a detailed oriented person. I love to hear the room that someone's recording in. If I can get the kind of reverb and the kind of sound in that kind of bit, and that's what Hagel does for me. So Anders will always be like, "Hey, what do you got this year? Like, what's the new song?" And he'll take a request or put something on. And one day in Montreal, it was like that. There were a number of really cool electronic songs going on, and that's what I have with some of these reps. I'll come in and just say, "Hey, I got something new. Let's check it out." And it's like you say, it's either a cover or something interesting, or it's adjacent to some of the top 10 that we hear every year. Be like, "Okay, cool. This artist is played way out. So let's get something else by them. That's a pretty cool song."
It's fun on multiple levels. For anyone who's worked shows with me, I do it constantly.
Mm,
I'll introduce the music. I talk more about the music than I do about the gear. And it's really, for me, it's transformative because if you're interested in the gear, you'll get around to asking the question. And it'll help me answer because we've shared some of this music.
yeah.
And I am forever at these shows, saying, all right, coming up next is ABBA, Dancing Queen,
Mm,
except not by ABBA.
right.
Uh, Two girls playing acoustic guitars, and it'll bring a tear to your eye.
Yeah.
And then you hear this thing, and then I'll go off and so many different things, and that's why I'll have these nights where I'll say, introduce me to something. I forget. There's quite a few years ago, someone said, I'm going to play Stairway to Heaven for you like you've never heard it before.
Mm, hmm.
And everybody plays it now. It's standard. So it's two Spanish classical guitarists. They're called Rodrigo y Gabriela.
Okay.
They were street musicians. And I love telling this story, and I tell it all the time. And I think they were somewhere in Spain. I could be wrong. I don't remember where it was. Playing on the street. And some music producer just stood there and went,
Hurt.
you shouldn't be on the street.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Let's get this in the studio.
Get into the studio. And
Yeah.
I play this thing, and it's like, this is a new Stairway to Heaven experience.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Magical.
There's a jazz reggae. I forget if they call themselves rappers as well. I think they're German. The band's called Talk Talk Talk.
Okay.
They do Walk on the Wild Side
Oh,
cover that is spectacular.
wow.
Just so much fun. So what I'll do at a show is I'll say, we're going to hear Walk on the Wild Side, and then we're going to hear a different version of Walk on the Wild Side.
Nice.
And it's fun to experience these things in a different way,
Hmm.
and then be able to talk
Absolutely.
about it, and like people go, oh, play the original. But I love the original.
Yeah.
I also happen to love this cover.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's so much you can do with music. You can share it, you can interpret it, you can sit down, soothe the savage beast. There are days, if I had an awful day, there are particular songs
Mm,
that I know I could, if I sit down, I can put it on, and I'll calm down.
hmm.
That's an amazing thing.
Yeah. It's like someone had echoed my words. It's like therapy, but it's like a medicine as well. It
It is.
interacts with your physiological state to correct and adjust and release chemicals, and it's an interaction like nothing else to me personally, and that's why I've put my whole life into the hobby and trying to get others close to it as well, is what it can do, just enjoying the music, not the stress of finding something about the gear, but stopping to enjoy, to calibrate, say, like, what is it that I feel when it's right? What is that something to me? And then recalibrate looking for things. It's really special.
It is. It's a beautiful art form that we can share, that we can enjoy, that we can do so many different things with. And that's why I'm in this business.
Hmm.
I wanted to play. I wanted to create music, or at least play music. I discovered that I was not a great musician. I tried to learn piano. I failed. I took up guitar. I was terrible guitarist. I could play, but I was not good.
Right.
And then in high school, I took up trumpet and I got pretty good. And I played in the concert band, classical band, the jazz bands, and so that was a ton of fun. And my passion never left. I just loved music. I said, you know what? I want to do something with music in my life. Here I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah. Well, it was like I learned how to play guitar first. I thought that would, you see the guitars in music videos and the sound of it, and then family members would play acoustic at parties. And so I thought, I'd learn this. And then I accidentally discovered that I was good at playing drums, which is a coordination thing that not a lot of other people have naturally. I found that I fell naturally to it. And there were a lot of other guitarists around. So I started being the drummer in a group when I was in high school. And from a musical and like acoustic sense, like we were talking about live music earlier, being a drummer and listening to speakers reproduce percussion, there's like a very acute sense of attack in a drum kit and piano and certain, transient stuff. That's why I'm a detailed oriented sort of listener, is that's what I'm looking for, because I've been behind a kit. I felt what the whole kit feels like through the stick, up my arm, through my body. So I relate to it in that way. And that's what I want to hear from a system. Not quite loud, but I still want it to articulate that sensation
Mm-hmm.
musically.
Oh, look, music is a physical thing, right? It has a beat, it has a rhythm, it has things you can feel. Listen, there are deaf people. We can't say who listen to music,
Mm-hmm.
but there are deaf people who enjoy music because they can pick up the vibrations. They can
Yes.
feel something. They can actually move and dance. I I often say, it's a language. It's a form of communication. It's a
Mm-hmm.
really, really powerful, wonderful thing. It can enhance your mood. It can change your mood. You can use it to help you do that. It's absolutely wonderful. And what I would like to see from all of us in the industry is to be a little nicer to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember that.
Stop crapping on each other. Stop
Yeah.
crapping on each other's equipment. And like, there's a lot of good gear out there. We should just be helping each other.
Right. That's the most common thing. And I think it's an unfortunate byproduct of having a public forum online. There's more of it because it's easier to do. Like criticism is just, it's way easier to put something online and criticize in that format. So I think the format made some of the conversation and that kind of thing, like, oh, the speakers are too close to the wall, or that's too far, or this is that, and blah blah blah. And like it's easy to just look and judge. Someone the recently on one of my live streams had said those speakers are too big for the room, and I was like, really, wise ass? How big's my room? Or like, you haven't heard it? Maybe I like it like this. Like, do I know that speakers this big can overpower my room? Yes. Do you also see two subs on the floor that have phase correction? Yes. So what am I doing with it? How loud am I listening? Right? Like, what's your scale of reference to say that's too big? And like, there's
So
no conversation there. It's just
I
judgment.
have to be careful how I respond because I describe myself as brutally honest, and I can
What?
be brutally honest with people. Um, and I'll always say, I'm not trying to come down on you,
Mm,
but to your point, social media is great. You've got all these forums of people sharing their passion and talking about, and all of that is wonderful. The problem is people who think they know things that they don't know. When I played trumpet in the band, I remember our conductor would say, he said, when I get nervous, when you think you know the music and you
mm,
stop staring at the sheet reading and you just start playing, because that's when I get nervous. The problem in our hobby are the people who think they know something but don't, who will then point things out to other people or try to guide them, and they'll do it incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
The other problem we have are people who are just, maybe they've had a bad day, maybe they get put down all the time, and they need to demonstrate that they are the superior being.
Mm-hmm.
So they will say nasty things. We don't need any of that.
No.
We don't need this. What these
No.
forums and all this stuff should be about is sharing the passion, helping each other, talking about music. And to that end, when I see people asking questions, I don't do it as much anymore because I'm tired of it. But I used to respond all the time is, you can't ask a question like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I have, whatever. I have Wharfdale Diamond 12.3s, and I'm thinking of getting Elysian 1s because I saw that's what you have. That happens to be what I have here. Um, is that good? And then you'll get 150 answers. And my response is always the same. It's good for me. I have no idea if it's good for you. I have no idea what your room is. I have no idea what the furnishings are in your room. I have no idea how big your room is. I have no idea what all your other equipment is. I couldn't answer you, and I don't understand how all of these people are doing it. And they're doing it by simply telling you what they have or they want. And that is the absolute worst thing. We're not helping each other by doing that. And I'm hoping that our hobby advances and learns a little bit. I happen to be a car guy. I'm a real car freak. The car forums are better at it, I think, just because they've been around much longer.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone says, what's a good tire? You won't just have people go, oh, get the Michelin Pilot Super Sport, get the Yokohama. You'll actually have people saying, well, for what? What do you want to do? What do you do? Are you taking this to the track? Or do you want a quiet drive? What are you doing? So I find the car guys are better at that. I'm hoping the audio people will realize when someone asks a question, it's about them, not about you.
Right. Yeah.
So the fact that you have, I'll rattle off companies, right, that I represent. So you have a MoFi Master Deck with a MoFi Master Phono and a Hagel H600 and Elysian. Well, that's wonderful, but what does that do for Joseph?
Right. Yeah. What do I think of it now that I've put my money in it? Am I busy out there trying to convince myself this was a right purchase? Because
Right. Like, so
it's confirmation.
You've put the Elysians up, and I've done several shows with the Elysian 4, and you showed the walnut finish.
Yeah.
I've done several shows showing those. I had them here in my house, and they sounded amazing. They just didn't fit the room properly. And what fit the room for me was Elysian 1s with a pair of rel subs, which is what I'm doing, and it's spectacular. So that works for me. The funny thing is, like, that's what I'll tell people is, this is what I did, this is what I love, but it's my sound.
Yes.
This guy's asking a question, what should I do? It's not about you. The answer shouldn't be, well, I have Elysians and I have a Hagel H600 and I don't care what you have.
Yeah.
These are just this person asking the question. What they want to know is, this is what they have. And they might use the word better, or it might just be different, but that's what they need to vocalize. Are you looking for different? Or are you looking for better? Do you want me to make an improvement to your system? I can do that. But I need to know what you like and what you don't like before I can improve it. Yeah, I can't improve it by saying, remove your Bowers and put in Wharfdale.
Yeah, maybe that's not what they like. Yeah.
Maybe that's not what they like. Maybe that's not going to be an improvement for them.
Right. The first set of words after these questions, what should I get, yada, yada, should be more questions about that person. Anybody Anybody online, I find, and this is advice for anybody who's getting into it, asking questions, anybody who starts with something about them instead of asking more questions about what you like, immediately just don't engage with them because they're not interested in you. They're interested in sharing what they have rather than what you might like.
Not only are they interested in sharing what they have, it's human nature, and especially with audio files, is we want people to own what we own because we want them to agree that we made the best choice.
Yeah.
And now they're getting on the bandwagon,
Yeah.
but it's the best choice. And to your point, I'm begging anyone who is listening, watching, reading, whatever, getting on these forums, please don't ask that vague general question. I have this. What do you think I should get?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of people out there that might have good intentions. They haven't been given the right information to help you. And for all of those people who just don't have good intentions, they're just going to spew back what they want you to buy,
Yeah.
which has nothing to do with what you're trying to
Yeah.
accomplish.
Yeah.
So please, if you're going to ask the question, provide some basic info. Here's my room. Here's how big it is. It's got hardwood, or it's got carpeting, or it's got hardwood with a rug. I've got wood walls, or I've got gyprock walls. I've got this on the
Yep.
ceiling. Here's my equipment. Here's my furniture. And then tell everyone what you like and what you don't like, and then
Yep.
tell them what you want.
Yep.
And
Yep.
now you can look at those answers.
Yeah. Because it's because there's so much of the room and personal description, personal like experience that goes into where to go next in that thing of, say, I've tried steak from wherever, like, okay, cool, this is your reference, and you make it at home, not so great. Try it here, pretty good. You'd be like, well, the trajectory of what you would really like is, how about this place, right? Like, you have to have a reference. I keep going back to the same word. Without a history or a reference of things to think about or to answer, then you can't plot a course to somewhere else. You can't get to better without knowing what's been there originally, like what the taste is, what the what has it in what you liked before, what you didn't like before, or I heard
Yeah,
this at a show and didn't like it, or I heard this and I really liked it. Like, it
yeah,
gives
it's all
an
about
idea
context.
of character, right?
You just reminded me of something that made me laugh quite a bit at a show. I was reading comments on a show that I had done, and someone wrote, I forget how exactly it was worded. It was something like, I'm so glad I didn't go into Rich's room because it sounded like crap. And I
Wait,
replied back saying, to each his own, everyone's got a right to their opinion. I'm just really curious about how you know that it sounded like crap if you didn't even come into the room.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm saying this because it's just, to me, it's one of those really funny examples. I go to a HIFi show and I see someone, they stand in the doorway and they come in, or they don't, or they come into the room and they stand, and I'll look at them and I say, we're not at war,
yeah,
right? This is a friendly thing. Welcome to my room.
yeah, yeah,
Come on in, sit down. By the way, you do know that sound systems are designed to be listened to sitting down. This speaker was designed to project at this height,
yeah.
which I don't think I'm going to tell anyone here listening something they don't already know, but let's have some fun. Guess what? The tweeter of your speaker should be roughly at ear level, right? When you're sitting down to listen.
Yeah.
Pretty common thing. Now, if you're going to be standing the whole time you listen,
Hmm.
well, guess what? Then the tweeter should be higher up.
Yeah,
You know,
bigger speakers,
basic. But
raise them
I
off
will
the
do that
floor.
because I'll say to someone, you know, you're not hearing the system.
Mm,
You're hearing some of it. You're not hearing what we have worked so hard to create for you.
mhm.
Please sit down and experience it the way it was meant to be
Yeah,
experienced.
yeah,
Uh, and
absolutely.
anyway, that just makes me laugh.
Yeah, that's there's so much interesting side of like, and I have to remind a lot of people on the channel that the first part of my name on the channel, that psi part, has everything to do with psychology because I was in school for psychology and philosophy forever. So most of my education is about human studies, like sociology, the way people behave, the nuances of what is it like to be in public at a show with a room full of other people who are sitting or standing, and what is the psychology of not wanting to go into the room or wanting this or that. There's so many other factors other than how it sounds that could be contributing to comments and gestures and behavioral, all of that kind of, that fascinates me so much about what kind of feedback comes back out of shows and how
What type
people
of
handle the
psychology did you
conversation.
study?
Just it basically just general. Like I didn't go down any specific branch or that kind
Oh,
of thing,
okay.
but it was like psychology as a whole. Like, and then a lot of the other liberal arts stuff that was piled underneath it. Philosophy, I focused on more, and I kind of studied a lot of that. So that kind of rolls in the. Well, I started thinking about what kind of psychology did these philosophers have to end up with that opinion? So it's really interesting. You have a Nietzsche quote on your webpage, which I love, and I've always adored that one. But when you look at the kinds of things that that man went through and the kinds of things he says in his writing, you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. Now I know why some of that stuff is in there. It's not
So I have a
everything,
degree. I
but
have a degree in psychology.
oh, okay. Okay.
um, I thought that's what I wanted to do. Then I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. Then I thought, I forget, someone was going to put me in the diplomatic corps, and then a whole bunch of other things. And then I realized I'd like to be poor and sell HIFi, but happy.
Yeah. I'm happy.
So
I'm happy in the not doing this other thing. Yeah.
I'm very happy in what I do. But you said something, and it really, really rings true, is psychology plays a huge role in all of this.
Mm,
And you come to shows and you look at human behavior and you look at how people act, and then we can start talking about crowd mentality.
mhm.
And we were talking about people posting on forums. Well, when you used to have to talk to someone face to face,
Yeah.
maybe you weren't as aggressive and condescending as you can be now when you can just type something sitting in your basement or in your apartment or wherever you happen
Yeah.
to be. You don't know anything. You're stupid. This is which I know that person would never do face to face on a one-on-one, but now they feel empowered. Or then they come to a show and there's a couple of people, oh, that's crap, that's crap. And now all of a sudden they're jumping around going, yeah, yeah, that's crap. And you get into these crowd mentality things.
Yeah.
And all of that just makes me laugh. And I just tell people, we don't need any of this.
No. That's
You
yeah.
know,
That's
this is all of this is a safe space. It's the sharing of music. If you are on this forum, if you are commenting on a post I've made, if you are coming to the show, I have no interest nor desire to insult you, to put you down, to belittle you, to make you feel weird. Quite the opposite. My goal is to share some music with you
mm-hmm.
and to find out if there's any way I can help you. And a great deal of us in this business, hobby, what you're trying to do, this is what we're trying to do. I wish the negative ones would go away. Find something else to be negative
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Or at least
Music is cool.
allow some of what we try to do as presenters or in the sharing type of personality, allow some of what we're doing to heal or affect or influence the part of that negativity, like wherever that negativity is coming from. I mean, you can't do that effectively all the time, but I always use the lead by example and trying to hold a positive sort of vibe or energy or that kind of thing over a situation where I'm responding in such a way and learning to respond better in such a way where my response can affect the human psychology of it. And then that might bridge a gap to enjoying music more and learning something about the joy of sharing
Yeah,
music. Because if you have a wall
absolutely.
up about not open to sharing and being, guarded, then you can't embrace what it means to be social and human and music at the same time. You're actually limited from it. So, not to say that cables don't matter, the connection between people really matter. And if that's the thing that creates the noise, that's what needs to get fixed first. And then everything else about music and sharing and the hobby will all sound better, in my opinion. That's where I come from all
Well,
the
I
time.
think you're right. And I think we need to tell each other that all the time.
Hmm.
And I try to do that at shows. Very often I'll be at a show and go, you know what? These speakers are whatever, $15,000 or $140,000.
Right.
And this is whatever, and that's whatever. And I'll get, don't feel bad if you can't afford them. Neither can I.
Right.
I
Yeah.
sell these. They're 140 grand. I can't buy those.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. It is. And there's something
It's
for
totally
everyone.
okay.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I could buy what I have. And I think they sound great. And I love them. And I
Hmm.
listen to music and I share music all the time with them. And that's what we should be doing. And in fact, sometimes I will tell people the real fun, the real challenge is respecting a budget,
Right.
not no budget. The real fun is when someone comes in and says, this was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed this. So what was I listening to? Okay, 15, 20, 30, but this is $80,000. We're like, I don't have 80. That's okay. Neither do I. What do you have? Your image just disappeared. I don't know if you went offline. I don't know if we're offline. I don't know if I should just sit here and talk for anyone who's still there. Oh, so now you're okay.
Wow. I don't know what happened to my
So
stream
were
just a
you
second
aware
ago.
that you disappeared?
I'm still here.
And
My
well, you
browser
weren't you
was
weren't
like,
to
"Oh, try
me.
again." I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to try again right now cuz please God make sure that didn't cut everything off."
Well, your screen went blank,
Okay.
and it was just the wheel
The wheel. So it was just something in my browser. Oh my
counting.
goodness.
So that was
Okay.
kind of funny.
Okay. So
But
sorry
yeah,
about
it's
that
no,
everyone,
no.
but yeah.
That
Yeah.
all I was saying was you get whatever you can get and use it. That's why I tell people the fun challenge is if you come to me and you say, "Hey, I had a great time. This was amazing. Can I get a good system for X?"
Mhm.
And the answer is, of course. I don't care what that number is. Yes. If it if the budget's $200, then we're probably going to get you the best Bluetooth speaker we can get. And you know what you'll be listening to? You'll be listening to the best Bluetooth speaker we could find that created the type of sound and experience you wanted. And now you're going to go home and listen to music. And that's fantastic.
Mhm.
Or maybe you're going to say my budget is 3,000 or 5,000 or 10, or maybe it's 100. It doesn't matter. I'm always telling people just listen to music,
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And we don't need to insult each other that mine is bigger or better than yours.
Mhm.
I don't care. I know you don't care either. I couldn't care less. I just want people to enjoy it and have fun.
Yeah.
The greatest thing for me at a show, okay, obviously, if they come to me and say, wow, I need to buy a pair of these right now, yes, of course, that's wonderful, right?
Sure. I can help you.
But honestly, what I get a bigger kick out of when I'm presenting at a show is when I see people coming up to me and saying, what was that song you just played? Who was
Mhm.
that? What was that called? Or they're taking a picture because, like at Expona this year, we had a TV and we put it up on the screen.
Right.
So you saw the cover art, the album art for whatever I was playing, and I saw people going and taking pictures.
Yeah.
That's thrilling to me
Yeah. The
because that's,
sharing the music part. Yeah.
yes, it's the sharing of music. I want to enjoy music.
Hmm.
You know, I want to play it, I want to listen, I want to enjoy it, I want to have fun, and I want to help people get to that point.
Yep. Absolutely. I feel like that's been the motivation behind sharing what I do, the photos that I got good at and the experience that I'm trying to capture. And it's visual, sure, but there's something about, like, say we hear that song and you get that song and you bring it home, and then the experience you have when someone shares it. And how I got into music is I went to visit somebody's house. They had a really cool system and they had their speakers set up at opposite ends of a living room, pointed in such a direction where they could hear it in their listening space in the living room seat, but you could also hear stereo imaging in the kitchen on the other side of a wall. I was like, how in the mother did you do that? Like, that is cool. And it made me interested. It inspired me to figure it out. I'm like, my system doesn't sound like that. So how can I get that at home? And then what do I like about what I'm getting at home? And then it's like, but that doesn't happen like when you have like certain gatekeepers or there's no bridge and people are judgmental. And like, so that's the noise that really doesn't help the industry, doesn't help a
Agreed, man,
community,
and that's the noise
doesn't
I
help.
want to go away.
Yeah, it doesn't help inspire anybody else to join or to spend money or to be invested or to come to a show or spend any more money or whatever, because it's like, I don't want to be part of that. That's terrible. It needs to
Yep.
be scrubbed for
And you
sure.
were talking about your pictures, right? So there's a ton of people who want to attend these shows, but they can't.
Hmm.
You go to the show and you take a bunch of pictures. Okay, they didn't get to hear the stuff, but they get to experience some of that show. That's sharing, and that's a wonderful thing,
Hmm.
you know, and that's really what I'm hoping for, striving for all of us in this business. I keep, I'm repeating myself too much, right? But it's let's
It's
share,
a
let's help
solid
each other.
message.
Yeah,
we
yeah, you know,
we
it's
needed we need the message, so it's okay to be just, listen to me, share your music.
and for the normal human beings who are hopefully listening, reading, watching, who don't work in this industry, um, I want you all to know we're not monsters
Hmm.
because the running joke, and I present and I talk about it, is it used to be thought that used car salesmen were the lowest rung of the ladder that just every shopper despises. Not true, because hi-fi salesmen sit below used car salesmen.
That's
People are terrified, terrified of us because they don't understand it.
mm,
A car, you may not know why a Ferrari is $500,000 or $1 million, and in the Volkswagen was 30. You may not know the details, the engine, the et cetera, et cetera. But if you got in and you got a ride in the two of them or you drove them, you probably get a bit of an idea.
yeah, yeah,
The interesting thing about expensive cars, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Aston Martin, whatever you want, when someone wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to buy a Ferrari today, they know it's going to be more than 25 grand. They know Ferraris are hundreds of thousands, and some of the classic ones are millions.
yes.
Audio, the buying public to a large extent knows absolutely nothing. They don't
Yeah,
understand that there are $300 speakers and $300,000 speakers and everything else in between.
yeah.
They don't understand diminishing returns in the audio business.
Hmm.
You get $1,000 speaker, then you go to a $2,500. Oh my God, it can be night and day. But now from 2,500, another night and day, it's going to be $5,000. And now from five, you might have to spend 10. Now you want night and day from 10. That's not 12. That might be 20.
Yeah.
It's big jumps
Yeah.
to get, big differences. A lot of the buying public doesn't know that. A
Yeah.
lot of the buying public also doesn't understand what things cost. So someone wrote a post the other day that I had to respond to. I'm looking for such and such product, and this is what it's worth. And I went to this store, and they told me that's what the price is. That's ridiculous. They're just trying to profit from us and have it. Blah, 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 blah. And I got on and I said, I'm not trying to start a fight. Here's what I want to know. Do you work for a living? Yes. Do you get paid? Yes. Okay. The HIFi hobby is not a charity. It's a business. So when you go into a shop, that's a business. The guy working there, who owns it, whoever, all of those people, they feed their family by profiting off of you. Because that's how they get paid. They make profit selling HIFi gear. Don't be mad at them.
Yeah.
They're bringing all of these great products. And by the way, you know how much money you have to expend? I was going to say expense. Do you know how much money you have to spend to fill a HIFi shop with gear for people to listen to?
Yeah.
It is a ridiculously massive investment. So if you're wondering why everything isn't discounted at 85% off, well, first of all, because they'd be losing a truckload of money.
Yes.
But also because they wouldn't be able to keep the lights on, pay the rent, feed their family.
Yeah.
And I say all of this because when I look at people watching and reading all of this stuff, okay, some stuff is more expensive than it needs to be. Some stuff is higher profit than it needs to be. Mea culpa, yes, the audio business, it's gotten a little crazy.
Yeah. In some areas it can be.
In some areas.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is still completely reasonable. And what I'm asking people to just think about is when you go into a shop, how much is that? Oh, those are $2,500 a pair. Please don't walk out of there thinking they pay $15 for them and that $2,485 is profit.
Yeah. Well,
because it's not.
I know for a fact that it's not, at least in one area, because I did work inside of a factory and know what their cost numbers were. So I know some of the structure, but I also know where everybody's making, the wages, the family, every step of the way. Like you explained, people have to survive and run a business, and it's all connected somehow. So it's mostly fair.
Typically, I'll just tell people, just take a step back and think about this for a second. That guy who works in that HIFi shop or that guy who owns that HIFi shop, he doesn't have a $700 million yacht. Trust me, he doesn't.
Not in audio, that's for sure.
No. He doesn't have a private jet. Trust me, he doesn't. He doesn't have a massive sports car collection. Trust me, he doesn't. Might there be exceptions to that rule? There might.
Yeah, maybe.
Most HIFi shops, they're just a business trying to make some money, feed their family, have a nice life.
Yep.
Cut them a bit of slack. And again, let's just make this friendly.
Yeah. It's the
you want to buy something, they want to sell you something. There's going to be some middle ground there somewhere.
Yeah.
And the two of you just have to find it.
Yeah. It comes at understanding is the thing that the bridge that everyone can get along with is understanding, either understanding how it works, understanding why it costs, understanding how, you know what I mean? Like the understanding of subjective, objective, personal taste, differences, like understanding is the foundation behind all of it. And it can resolve almost all of that stuff. It's just a willingness to understand what's going on, ask questions that help understanding. That
And
should
there are,
be the primary goal,
yes,
is let me understand more and
that's
then
exactly what
approach
it should
things.
be. And again, I'm always saying we should be helping each other. So when people get on to anything you've done, so whether it's a post or whether it's a YouTube uh, film that you've done, we're trying to help each other. And they
Hmm.
should take what you're doing as trying to inform them. And then when they go to a shop, cut those people some slack. They're asking you a bunch of questions because they're trying to help you, not
Yes.
rob you.
Yes.
Once again, are there some shops that want to rob? Yeah, of course. There are some bad players in the world.
Yeah.
Most of us are pretty good people, and
Yes, I
most of
would
us are
say.
just trying to help you.
Mm.
But you got to let them help you. So you
Yeah.
give them accurate information, and then listen to what they say, and they might be trying to help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you're on this preamp quest, right? And that's really fun. So you've got a bunch of questions you can ask. Then you've got a bunch of experimentation that you can do. And there's some shops that might help you. And I mean, we talk every once in a while, and I see you with the shows. You can call me anytime, night or day. And so can everyone who follows you.
Mhm.
Now, you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm probably not answering, right? But if you leave a message, I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
I
And
tend
if you
not to
write
do
to
stuff
me,
like
I'll
that.
answer
Yeah.
it. And most of us in this business want each other to have a good time.
Yeah. That's the goal, is to have a good time. I mean, I got into it because I was welcomed, invited, it was family, friends. I had a system when I was young and growing up and through high school because I got influenced young. And I was the guy with the system. I was always the audio guy, and I would always play songs that people liked for them. And one of my friends, who's a musician as well, saxophone, had listened to the song on one of these new speakers I had, and we used to sit on the floor in my room and just listen and listen. He was like, he looks at me one day listening to the song, and it might have been Miles Davis something. He's like, I didn't know there was a second bongo in this song. What the hell, man? It's like it blew his mind and made the song completely new again to hear it with this next level sort of fidelity or whatever experience. And it's moments like that, not the gear, not what he bought, not what I paid, not how long I had it, not who else had the shit that I had at home. It was that moment with that friend right then to see his face light up and love the music that he already knew all over again.
Right.
That's addictive.
Yeah.
It's like if I was a pusher, that's what I want. I want more joy for more people and be able to like figure out how to get whomever it is on whatever journey they're on, however they have whatever budget, to that place. And if they can't afford it yet, I'm going to keep letting them experience. Come over and listen. Come to the show and listen. Where do you live? Here's a show over here. Go listen to it and just, you know what I mean? Like take little pockets of those experiences because it's so valuable and it can change so much. So,
It really can, it really can enrich your life. You can have a great time. You can have camaraderie. Uh, there's so much to be enjoyed.
yeah,
And even the journey, so playing and testing with equipment, that can be a lot of fun as long as you don't let it eat you alive.
right, right. Doesn't need to be
Um,
like a lecture in electronics, electromechanical function. Just here's a little
right.
bit and then,
Just have fun,
yeah.
experiment, enjoy. And then I'm going to ask you a million questions, whether it's on air now or later on at some point. Is your preamp quest?
No, I can tell you after. I've
Oh,
made
okay,
I've made somewhat of a decision. I'll tell you after before we end. Well, we'll end and then I'll let you know.
okay.
Everybody else
But
is
all I
gonna
was
have to
going to
find
say
out
is just
later on.
it's a fun example of a component that can make a huge difference for a bunch of different reasons. Um, and then, of course, we got to look at what gears are going with and what are we trying to accomplish. And I don't have my glasses on. So
You
that,
got to hear the song "Human Nature" by Michael Jackson. There's a chime that can be heard very faintly on the right channel, and it happens throughout the whole song. And I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's a really high pitched sort of tone in the chime. Quincy Jones and him worked on the album so many times. I think they had like 128 different mixes, versions of that album, and then like finally like release the damn thing. We're gonna be here forever. And yeah, I know what you're talking about. And that album has got so much love in it, like 30 plus years later, almost 40 years maybe. It's amazing. That's what really well recorded and good engineers can do. They leave little nuggets like that, and that's why you get HIFi. So you can
so
access stuff like that.
they do that, and that's incredibly important. The other thing that really good engineers do is make things sound. LG washing machine.
It's like it kind of sounds like my LG washing machine laughing out loud. Joe,
Good
so
engineers.
it's really really interesting sound, and that chime is like
Oh,
high.
I know
Yeah,
exactly what it
yeah,
is because I've played that many times.
love it.
And you know, he's absolutely right. That's a really cool thing. The other thing that good engineers will do is make things sound real.
Hmm.
And that's why I'm always encouraging people to go out and listen to some live music. I had a really fun argument with a guy. I was at a dinner party, you know, and someone says, you know, Rich distributes hi-fi across Canada, been doing it all his life, and and a million questions come out. We have this really nice chat. And then I told him something and he got really upset with me. And what I said was, have you listened to any live music? Oh, yeah, I go to the Jazz Fest all the time. I said, fantastic. So if you're trying to take your system to the next level, there are two ways to do it. You can make it sound like however you want. And that might be, I want more bass. I want more mid-range. Okay. Or you can make it sound more like the actual recording.
Hmm.
And how do you do that? And I said, well, you need to go back to the Jazz Fest and just focus on a couple of things. Listen to the piano. I'm a trumpet player, or I was. Listen to the trumpet, listen to a piano.
Hmm.
And go home. And in a perfect world, play that actual song if you have. If you don't, then just play something with those instruments. And then what I want you to do is close your eyes and play that instrument that you heard in your head.
Hmm.
Then turn your ears on and let your brain listen to what's coming out of your sound system. And then ask yourself, are they the same?
Hmm.
And if they're not, now you've discovered a lack of fidelity.
Right.
So what should that sound system do, or what should that component that you're looking at do? It should make a trumpet sound like a trumpet.
Right.
It should make a piano sound like a piano. It should make Rich Zidel sound like Rich Zidel, not like whoever this person is, because that's
Yeah.
not me. This is me.
Yeah.
But that's what gear can do.
Yeah.
So
It sounds so basic to say it that way. Is you want your system to sound like instruments. I mean, not a lot of songs, you know, in half the genres that I listen to, they're not real instruments. They're electronic, and
right.
a lot of other stuff is mixed in such a way that it's electronic. It's never a
And that's
live
a ton of
instrument.
fun.
But you know, yeah, it
But
should sound.
you can't use it as an absolute. That's what you can use for this is what I want. And I do that. You know, I've got a bunch of, I mean, look, we all do the show circuit, right? So, you know, Hedegaard ratchets, right? Disclosure, the mechanism. What's that other one? Gecko that I love. I forget. Anyway, there's a whole bunch. Those are all bass tracks, electronic EDM, and I'll use that to dial in a system, but I can't use that to evaluate a system.
No, it's fun, and
Yeah, how will I
as
evaluate
a
a
tool.
system?
But
Simple, simple, simple. And then that's another thing I tell people. Please don't put on highly complicated 14 million different instrument music
yeah,
for evaluations.
orchestrals.
Oh my goodness. The simpler, the better. If there's a trio, that's great. Simple, simple, simple. Uh, a voice,
Yeah,
a couple of
solo
instruments.
vocalist. Yeah,
Solo vocalist is fantastic. And that'll allow you to basically say, does this sound like the trumpet I heard last night?
yeah,
Yes or no? And then you decide whether it does or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, you decide what's good, what's bad. And then you start testing gear to figure it out. Or depending on what your issue is, your preamp thing, it might be more complicated, right? You may have all the right stuff, except for one thing, and you're not driving the other stuff properly, and therefore it's not performing at the level it should be, that it's capable of. And all you have to do is fix this one weak link,
hmm
and everything else falls into line.
yeah, yeah. It does take some experimentation because without the willingness to like swap some things around, then we can get used to everything. Say, uh, IEMs in ear monitors are, for me, are they're sort of hit or miss because I can like them at first or not like them at first, but then if I just use them long enough, I like them anyways. It's the initial comparison is the thing that I have to get over, but eventually it all kind of sounds fine. It's comparing that really gives you the detail or really gives you that kind of swap. Like our minds, I guess, and you know this is we're like a difference engine. Like our sense of smell doesn't you don't notice a sense of smell unless there's a change in the sense of smell. We're a difference, our minds are a difference engine. There needs to be a change in volume to acknowledge something. That's the way our physiological sense is wired. So
Right.
if you're listening to the same thing over time and you have your system a certain way, like yeah, you like it, you enjoy it, perfect. That's the whole point. But if you listen to something different and then you listen at home and then you notice something, that's where some of these changes can come from. So you got to be willing to, at least in a pursuit, to swap some things out to see where things land in order to get to that fidelity level or a change or comparison to a reference or a band playing live.
Sure.
And you got to swap this or swap that and sort of scientific method, swap only one thing at a time.
Right.
Instead of change the preamp and the cables and the position of the speaker, or like you've removed a rug. Some people
Yeah.
have said that, like I've changed this and this. Do I have to recalibrate? Yeah.
Yes.
Every
Yeah.
time. Move your chair, move the rug, someone changed the plant, you this and that, whatever changed, the new cabinet. Yes, 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 and yes. Because every inch or every reflective surface or absorbing surface is going to have an effect on the total sound in the room. Everything, everything. So yeah, you have to recalibrate all the time.
Yep.
Or don't, and just use your ears. Train your ears to listen for what you want. And if something changes, then change that. I was at a shop recently north of the city, and they were demoing new speakers. And they had speakers against the one wall and absorption on the other wall. And one of the sets of speakers on the left side was too close. So they were getting some sort of weird reflection from that one side. So we moved one of the models and turned the other one to the side, and it completely changed the sound staging.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like that. Like you wouldn't, some people don't consider it, but it does make that much of a difference. So
A lot makes a difference in audio, and a lot of minor things. Yeah, when you're positioning high-end speakers, I'm not talking several feet in one direction or another. I'm talking about dialing it in just a little bit. We're talking nuances. This is not
Yeah.
night and day, but we're talking about, oh, I just got that tone a little bit, and now all of a sudden,
yeah,
she's right there.
yeah. Instead of
Drums are
being
over there. The piano's over there. Christian McBride and his upright bass is right there and stings to his right, or stings to his left. Like you start picking out
Yeah.
all of this stuff. It's like, wow, that's really cool. But
yeah.
yeah, that can happen. Sometimes it can be very small changes.
Yeah, just the willingness to play around and make some adjustments. And do I need to buy or swap or whatever to get these improvements? Likely not. Like, max out what you have using some of this kind of stuff, experiment and change things and move stuff around at home. And then maybe it's revealing. Maybe it can, toe in, toe out, whatever it is. Change the seating height, change the speaker stand height, change, you know what I mean? Like, some of these things, like I put isolation feet on my towers, and immediately it was like, this actually works so much better than I anticipated it to work.
They
Like, it
do.
was the easiest way to improve, the cheapest upgrade that I have made in the system yet, including the cables, to make everything sound more like what I want it to sound like. It was crazy how good that was. So it's like, you don't have to do the, it's the diminishing returns thing. You want best bang for buck, and there's so many things in the chain and the audio that you can change to get improvements. It doesn't have to be a brand new item per, like, or one of the major items changed in the system. You
Yeah,
can
no,
get
you
there
just,
by doing other
as I'm
things.
always saying, you just need to decide what you want to do,
Yeah.
and you go from there. And the healthiest thing to do is start by establishing a baseline. So just go listen to anything,
Right.
live
Get
music
a
somewhere.
reference of some kind.
Just get a
Yeah.
reference, like this is what live music sounds like, the actual music. Okay. And then go back home and say, what do I want? Do I want that?
Yeah.
Do I want the club? Do I
Yeah.
want something in between? Or am I happy with what I have?
Yeah.
Which might happen. The other just thing about audio is, well, audio and most things is you become accustomed to
Mm.
something. So you get used to what you've got, and then you think you want something else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, so once again, establish a baseline. Go out, hear something else,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back to your place, and you go, no, I like mine better. Well,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important to do. I mean, and I'm in this situation where I had characters of stuff, like I can tell you later on exactly what it was that I was kind of navigating through with the preamps. And I knew that I needed a change there because something was definitely off. And going to shows and listening to everything, I'm so busy doing a lot of other media stuff that I'm never sitting down and like listening for what I want to listen to as like a consumer, right? I don't have time to sit there and like analyze, and like I will soon. I have to figure out how to do that, but before I wasn't, and I had to do this other journey to like figure out where I'm at. But yeah, it's like listening for that reference, that character, identifying what things can sound like, and remembering. Auditory memory is terrible. Like, it's A/B demos are really, really good. Blind testing is another one of those things that's really awesome for like, get your bias out of the way, get your mind and what you think out of the way, and listen to it that way. But remembering from like Jazz Fest an hour and a half, and now I'm going home, you got to get really good at that too. That's another thing to get, like, to practice at, get auditory recall. It's tricky. It's a tricky thing to master.
It's tricky. It depends on what your goal is. So if your goal is to get absolute accuracy, it's going to be hard. To
Yeah.
your point, you're going to go to the Jazz Fest, you're going to go to a concert wherever. Okay, well, now it's going to take you, I don't know, an hour and a half to get home. And when you get home, you're not doing your testing then, you want to
Mm,
sleep. So you're not actually doing your testing until, oh no, it could be a day, it could be days, could be weeks later. Human auditory memory is terrible, absolutely terrible. Most people can't handle a good, better, best demo.
mm.
Let me play 1, 2, 3, and they can't even remember the 3, which is why often people try
Hey,
to keep it this or that.
yeah.
Uh, if you wear glasses, if you go to an eye doctor, this one or this one, because you wouldn't be capable. This one, or this one.
Yeah, yeah,
You're not
exactly.
you're not capable. It's not just auditory, right? It's
Yes.
visual as well. We're not capable, and auditory is even more challenging.
Hmm.
It's really, really difficult to do. So that's what people you have to do. And that's why I'll say keep it simple. So just listen to that trumpet or piano or what have you.
Yeah. The comment here is simple three are good, like a trio, like very simple musical sort of reproduction, because that's exactly what the hobby is. It's musical
Yep.
reproduction. And to get it to analyze it, it can't be busy. I love listening to really dense and fast heavy metal because I like transients in a system. And I know the recordings well because I listen to them in a lot of devices. And if a system live, like in a room or whatever, or I'm listening to something different, can articulate all the different parts of really dense, fast metal, then I know the system, the speakers at least, or the system itself can handle that much information without getting washed like orchestral. And
Yeah.
yeah, I do that. I do that kind of thing often, but it doesn't give me a sense of what they're really capable of unless it's like acoustic, uh, big room sort of recording. I want to hear timing. I want to hear imaging. And there's a lot of music that doesn't have that, even recordings that don't have that. Close mic versus the room, like recordings in the 40s on vinyl versus new music that's mastered from close mic. They're artificially inserting reverb, which isn't really in the room. But the old recordings that were done were like, Ray Charles, it was him and the band in the room all at the same time, one shot. So you hear the room and everybody else where they were. So the staging on those recordings, although not very good recording quality per se, noise wise, the spacing and what everything sounded like is really, really stunning. So
Yep.
that's
But
like,
some of
you know,
them, the recording quality is spectacular.
yeah, yeah.
I make a point all the time. 1958, Dave Brubeck,
Mm,
Take Five, that
that,
track that
yeah,
everybody plays everywhere.
yeah.
1958, spectacular.
Yeah, I use that one too
Um,
because of the room and the drum solo section and the spacing. You hear
Harry
that room.
Belafonte Sings the Blues, also 1957 or 1958. One of the best recordings I've ever heard in my life.
Hmm.
Um, Folk singer, another one, Muddy Waters,
Yeah,
also like around 58. Oh
50s.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah,
You hear the room, you hear the venue, you hear the placement, you hear all kinds of things. And that's part of the fun.
yeah. That's recordings like that become references to hi-fi sort of things because of those reasons. It gives you a realism that it serves as a reference. And some people, it's not my taste to be like, well, okay, that's cool, but
Right.
you get a 0 to 60 time on a car because why? It's a reference.
Hmm.
You're not measuring it when you jump off the light, be like, oh, it's green, punch it. And you're not checking to see if your 0 to 60 time is whatever it's spec'd at.
Right.
It's just a reference. You don't need to like whatever it is, but to know that that's how it's reproduced accurately, that's your reference point. If it can do that, then everything else you like is going to be reproduced accurately.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's another big one too. Cafe Blue, yeah.
Very common
So
demo
much
record.
stuff. Yeah. Well, we just passed our 2 hour mark. I do appreciate you coming in and sharing so much about the industry as well as us in the industry
Yeah.
and as a community as well. I appreciate all those perspectives and very glad that you
Hey,
joined us for the
it was
evening.
fun. And as you know, I'm passionate about music. I'm passionate about the gear, the business. Anytime, man. I'll do this anytime you want. And for
Nice.
anyone who's following along, if you have questions, I'm happy to help.
Yep. Everybody, if you go to the website, you'll find all of the links there for the socials, the email, all that stuff, all the
Yep.
contacts. So I thank everybody for joining on. I don't know. I have to double check all the platforms. I don't know how everything went out with that glitch and if I got all the keys right. This is an experiment for me as well. This is a new sort of demo for their paid platform. So I'm hoping everything went well. To my audience, thank you very much. My usual weekend will unfold. I won't have anything new in the system for probably more than a week, maybe two, and that'll be a surprise. But you can let me know in comments whether I should do an unboxing of it or just show it off. I don't know how fun unboxings are anymore, but that'll be coming up in a couple of weeks. I gotta pace myself still. So, Rich, thank you very much
My
to my
pleasure. It was
audience.
fun. Thanks for
Thank you
having me.
very much. I'll have you on again. I just have to pick a time and topic and see what
Anytime.
happens. All right, cool. So thank you to everybody else. We're going to end the stream here, and we'll stick around, Rich, for a minute. And yeah, thank you, everybody. And we'll see you probably tomorrow. I'll do my music thing tomorrow. So take care, everyone.